It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I am excited to be here today with Burt Hanna from Hanna's Candle Company. And Burt is a lifelong resident of Fayetteville, and he has an amazing story to share about himself and how he got to where he is. And if you were ever looking for the type of person that could take both some yard debris or some candles or a water ski and show you how to do something amazing with each one of those things, Burt Hanna is your guy. And I think it's really interesting. I've heard some really amazing things about him and his story. And I just asked Burt to come on the podcast just to kind of share his version of Northwest Arkansas with our audience. And so without further ado, Burt, it's great to have you on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Couldn't be better.
Good. So Burt, lifelong resident of Fayetteville. I believe at one point in time, your father was the mayor of Fayetteville. How long was he mayor?
He was mayor from 92 to 2000, so it was 8 years.
Okay. All right. Great. And, I've heard stories about your dad, and I heard you even provided a car for him while he was mayor, and, he was able to do a lot of great things. And this area has changed, I would imagine, as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, it sure has changed.
Yeah. So what has been your biggest insight into, why Northwest Arkansas has grown the way that it has? Outside of the obvious stuff like Walmart and J.B. Hunt and Tyson, we know all of that. But I mean, you're a small business owner that has had some success, and you have grown an organization, but you've also been an eyewitness to the change that has taken place here in Northwest Arkansas.
Besides Walmart, Tyson's, J.B. Hunt, who is obvious, I think the natural beauty. Yep. I think that Beaver Lake has a lot to do with it. I think Northwest Arkansas was poised to grow, having a good water supply. And the University of Arkansas, of course, provides a lot of talent, gets people here. And that's probably what I would say. And, I don't know much different. I've lived in a few different parts of the country, but love Arkansas. I think that it's land of opportunity. That's what it used to be on the license plate, which we should have again instead of natural state. It should be the land of opportunity.
Yeah. No, I like that. How long ago did they take that land of opportunity?
Probably within the last 30 years.
Okay. All right. I did not know that. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. I like the idea of the natural state only from the simple fact that, they actually have found diamonds in the ground, right? And I think that's kind of, when you look at that, just the optics of finding diamonds in the ground, it just kind of shows you the potential and the opportunities that exist in this state, and also primarily here in Northwest Arkansas. But I heard a really interesting story about you, how you got started, in your business, and you actually collected pine cones and needles and other things in your backyard and created Potpourri. And was that just to do something to keep yourself busy, or did you logically say, you know what, I see this and I think I can turn that into money, and I think I could create something that people will want? How did that happen?
Well, it really started with my ex-wife. She went and made some stuff out of the Potpourri out of the yard back when it was really popular in their late 80s. And she just made it as a craft project. And when I saw that, I said, let's try to sell it. And our first customers, Cheryl Willis at Collier's Drug Store right on Dixon Street. Thankfully, she bought $18 worth of Potpourri from me. And we just started selling it in the business. My goal was only to make an extra $100 a month. I was a senior in college getting my degree in accounting, and I didn't know anything about anything. So I went and bought Rit dye at Walmart. I went to Love Box Company and got oak wood chips and dyed them a color, and we put those in the Potpourri. And I went and bought fragrance oil from Ozark Natural Foods when it was down on the square, and came up with this potpourri that we sold, and started out in March of '87, and by the end of '87, I sold $125,000 worth of potpourri.
That's a lot more than $100 a month.
And then the next year, we sold $800,000 worth of potpourri. And McElroy Bank was good to me. Gary Head was good to me, one of my first bankers. I quit college when my college professor, I was taking advanced accounting when Doris Cook asked me how I would consolidate 2 balance sheets. I'd been working all night, and I came in, hadn't done my homework, and she asked me how I would consolidate the balance sheet on these 2 businesses. If I'd have bought them, I said, if I had bought these 2 businesses, I'd have my accountant Steve do it. And that was Steve, was the guy sitting next to me. And she got mad at me and called me to her office, and I just decided to quit going to college after that.
Wow.
I had 9 hours left. I was on the honor roll, had a scholarship. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I quit college in March, and I was a millionaire 2 or 3 years later.
Gee,
amazing. That's only happens in Arkansas. No, it happens in the United States.
Yes, it does.
The United States is a land of opportunity.
It is. It definitely is the land of opportunity, and I agree with you 100%. I sometimes have arguments with people about, these bootstrap stories or self-made people. I mean, you obviously had support of people around you and family, but you decided to take your intuition and just put some hard work and marry the two together and make something happen. And you were actually able to do it, while still in college. You think of people like Mark Zuckerberg and others that left school. Steve Jobs left school because he saw better opportunities on the horizon in the business climate, as opposed to waiting to matriculate and get a 4-year degree. Now, there's nothing wrong with a 4-year degree, don't get me wrong. But I believe that if people have the gumption and the wherewithal and a vision and a goal to get something done, they might as well not delay it. And I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Well, sure.
Yeah,
you bet.
Yeah, so I think that's great. But so when did the candles enter the equation? Was it that you wanted to add something else to your offerings, or that people started asking you about candles?
Oh, the thing about it is, potpourri has fragrance oil. Fragrance oil that made the potpourri smell good. The same thing happens with the candle. Is fragrance oil makes candles smell good. And I was at a trade show. I had a customer and I was already to $3 or $4 million in sales. And
just on potpourri.
Yeah, we were making a good living. Had a building, and probably had 80 or 90 employees. And I was at a trade show, at a Ben Franklin trade show, and I still remember one of the Ben Franklin customers of mine came up to me. His name was Adrian Taylor. He came up, and I still remember him saying, "Burt, you need to get in the candle business because Yankee Candle is not shipping complete." He said, "I placed my Halloween order in April, and they shipped 40% complete in September." He goes, "You should do it." So I went to the library, Fayetteville Library, and got a book on candle making. And I told my brother Thad, I said, "Hey, you watch the front office. I'm going to go in the back of the plant and learn how to make candles for a month or two." And then I went down to a secondhand store called Once Was News, owned by Judy Israel. Talk about Fayetteville and all these small people and how it all works together. But I went down to that secondhand store, and I traded Judy $75 worth of potpourri for a stove, not a wood stove, a gas stove, and that's what I made my first candles. And then I went to Walmart and bought some ball canning jars and some wax. I went and bought 10 pounds of canning wax and made my first candle samples, and then gave them to my brother Thad. He was going to the Dallas trade show, Dallas gift show for the summer, like the July gift show. I said, "Here, take these and see if you can sell them." And after a day or two, the first day of the show, he called me back and goes, "Boy, you better learn how to make candles because I can sell them." And that was the beginning of the candle business. So That was 92. By 95, we had quit making potpourri pretty much altogether.
Okay.
And the candle business took off from there.
I mean, I don't even see potpourri that much anymore. It seems to be a
thing of the past.
A thing of the past, right? But candles are very front and center. So yeah. So I think that's really interesting. Where do you see the candle market going now in terms of its? Is it technically more advanced now as far as making candles, outside of the fact that you create a lot of your own machinery and tools to do what you do? But outside of that, fundamentally, has anything changed in the candle industry?
Not that you would notice. Candles are cleaner burning now. They don't put off the soot. They have more fragrance. They're safer. But that's all stuff the consumer wouldn't really notice.
Yeah.
I would say house fires are down because the candle makers have gotten smarter about certain things in making candles, like glue in the wick tab or having a longer shank on the wick tab keeps the glass from getting hot. Those are some of the things that have changed, but you would notice it.
Okay. All right. Well, so it sounds like, and I guess just to kind of give our audience a quick lesson in entrepreneurship, what would you say to, maybe a stay-at-home mom that's listening to this podcast or somebody else that's thinking about getting something started? I mean, you seem to have had, what drove you to do what you did with your ex-wife and then again to go to the library and learn about candles? What do you think really pushed you to do that and to go that extra edge to try to learn about the business?
Well, I was embarrassed to tell anybody I was in business. Still am. Whenever I start a new business, I don't tell anybody because if it fails, I don't want them to know. But, the number one secret to success, what is it?
Hard work.
Getting started,
right? Yeah, well, that's true.
And
too,
I tell you, I get people call me all the time. They got the greatest idea in the world. Everybody's got the greatest idea. The idea is the easy part. It's getting started and doing something about it's the hard part.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, and I think honestly that's why I did this podcast in the first place. I kept talking about it, and I was like, what, I'm just going to do it, and people are either going to take it or they're going to leave it. But one way or the other, it will never exist if I don't get up and do it.
Exactly.
And so you're absolutely right. So getting started is hugely important. And I think the other point is, and we just had this gentleman on the podcast recently, but David Johnson from the Fayetteville Public Library. We've got one of the best resources, period, as far as if you want to do studying and learn about businesses that have been successful, us outside of Hanna's Candle Company. There's so many other successful businesses right here in Northwest Arkansas that you can learn from if you want to get something started. But the idea, like Burt said, is that you have to start. And it's really important for you to decide what you want to do and how you want to do it. So that's the entrepreneur moment for this episode here. So tell me a little bit about your experience growing up here in Northwest Arkansas, and what how you look at Northwest Arkansas today as far as the changes that have taken place. I think before we started recording, I told you I think the numbers are between, and it depends on who you ask, anywhere from 36 to 50 people a day are moving here or relocating to this area. I mean, retirees move here. A lot of people are coming to Northwest Arkansas. What do you think is the attraction to this area, and what is in your mind is making Northwest Arkansas be such a good place to be?
I don't know. I travel the world. I see the world, but everything looks great for a week or two. I've been here forever. It still looks great to me. And the thing about Northwest Arkansas, and I don't know about other parts of the country, but there's just so much to see and do here.
Yeah.
I mean, Yellow Rock over at Devil's Den. I didn't find that until a couple of years ago. Hawksbill Crag. I've only been there once or twice. White Rock. White Rock's always a great thing. And I didn't see any of this stuff till I was over 40. Let's see, what is it? That valley, Boxley Valley, beautiful. I didn't see that till I was over 40 years old. I lived here 40 years and didn't see that. Everybody should go there this weekend.
Yeah. So what about
it's called Lost Valley.
Right, Lost
Boxley.
Valley. Yeah, Lost Valley.
Oh, my gosh. In Beaver Lake, every time I go out there, you just find something new that I didn't see. I was at Lake Atlanta and Rogers the other day. Yeah, that's beautiful. There's just so much to do here. And downtown Bentonville, there's just so much to do. Now, that's what I think. It's just never ending, the opportunity to find something to do in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, and our goal, one of our goals with this podcast is to expose people to some of these different special areas, and you've mentioned several of them, including Devil's Den, which I've hiked with my family, and that's a lot of fun, even for just an afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
To drive, it's like maybe 20 minutes from here to drive down there with the family and go hiking for a couple of hours, and you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but you're only like 20 minutes from downtown Fayetteville.
Right.
But it's absolutely gorgeous. And they actually filmed part of the True Detective down there. So there's that piece of it as well. And I think, you've got Pea Ridge, you've got some of the Civil War battle sites. I mean, there's a lot going on in this area. Do you ever spend any time up by the Buffalo River?
I'm embarrassed or ashamed to say I've never floated to Buffalo. That's exactly what I'm talking about in Arkansas.
Right.
I've never even been on the Buffalo. And what's the Kings? Hadn't been on the Kings River.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And you're a water guy. So part of your lore and a little history lesson for those listening is that Burt's actually, would you consider yourself a world-class water skier?
Oh, I wouldn't say so anymore. I wouldn't even say I was back then, but I tried. I worked at it harder than most, so I was able to get paid to water ski. So I got to work at a ski show in Germany.
Okay.
Worked at a ski show in California, Missouri, and Florida.
And in Florida, you were in Cypress Gardens.
I worked for Cypress Gardens in Florida. I worked for Magic Mountain in California. I worked for Holiday Park in Germany. Worked at Lake of the Ozarks water ski show in Missouri when I was a kid. So I got to see the world.
That's awesome.
Got paid to get water
ski.
That's a deal.
And every now and then you still get out there and do it, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So getting old and fat.
So if you ever see a guy water skiing on Beaver Lake with a candle in his hand, that's probably Burt. So there you go. So tell me, what are some of the places that you like to go hang out and eat when you're in town, when you're not traveling? I understand you're also are you a pilot, or you just have some planes?
No, I'm a pilot.
You're a pilot.
Sure.
Okay. Where are you able to fly?
Everywhere.
Oh, no. Like, do you have certain designations, or can you fly on any plane?
Well, no, I'm checked out. I've got a Cirrus SR-22, so I can go. That's the kind of plane you can get in and fly to Memphis in an hour, Nashville 2 hours, East Coast in 4 hours.
Okay.
Like Raleigh, Durham, that'd be 4 hours. New York City, 7 hours.
Oh,
Las Vegas is 7 hours. That's a pretty long haul.
Yeah. Do you typically fly out of Springdale or
Fayetteville.
Drake? Oh,
Fly out of Drake. Yeah.
Fly out of Drake. Yeah. What was that like when it was an actual airport?
Man, it's terrible because it was fogged in about half the time.
That's what I heard. People said it was a little treacherous landing there.
340s. And have to fly them to Dallas. All it did was go to Dallas. That Northwest Arkansas Regional Airport's been a great thing for Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
Thanks to Alice Walton. I think she's the one who got that going.
Yeah. And I actually talked to a couple of people that have done a lot of work with the airport, and they're excited at the way that it's growing. And every day you look up,
there's the numbers. It's crazy.
There's some new opportunity. I think literally just today I read, and this is as of the day of this recording, that American Airlines now has a nonstop flight from Northwest Arkansas to Philadelphia.
Wow, that's news.
So you can fly nonstop from XNA to Philly, Washington, D.C., New York City,
Los
Angeles, San Francisco, of course Dallas, of course Houston, and Atlanta. But I mean, you've got a lot of major areas, a lot of major cities have nonstop flights here to XNA. And yes, we can attribute some of that to the Walmart effect, but I mean, in general, people are coming here to either do business here or to relocate here. There's a lot happening. So where do you see the future of Northwest Arkansas? And you're still a young guy though, so.
I think, we're in a bubble in Northwest Arkansas, so I don't know. I think it's going to be good. I can still remember when somebody predicted in 2000 that we'd be at 500,000 or 400,000 by where we are today, and I think we've beat that. So it'll continue growing. Those guys that worked on True Detective, I rented a building to them, and they say that this reminds me of Austin 25 years ago.
Oh yeah, right.
So, and I've not even been to Austin, so I don't know, but I think that's a compliment.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a compliment. And I remember Austin before the new airport, and now I've experienced Austin now. But the biggest challenge I think Austin has infrastructure wise is that their roads just can't support the number of people that are there.
I believe that.
And I mean, just imagine if we didn't have the Bobby Hopper Tunnel and we couldn't drive the way that we do from Northwest Arkansas.
Be terrible.
Yeah, I'd never experienced it. Everybody told me that it was the worst.
It was,
and they told me stories about how on game days it would be backed up for miles with people coming from Central Arkansas and elsewhere to come to games. So it's obviously changed a lot. And Philip Taldo had told me a little bit about that and how much things had changed. So I just think it's interesting to see that. And again, you're the expert because you've been here for years, and I'm still the new kid on the block, and I'm learning about that. But I just think that that there's some real tremendous opportunity here. And you mentioned a bubble, which everybody's kind of wondering when this other shoe is going to drop from an economic standpoint. But as I was telling somebody earlier today, I think the bubble is always more pronounced in areas that are just a little bit more skew financially, right? Where the cost of living is a little bit higher and the homes are that much more expensive. There's a lot further down to go than you would have in a place like Northwest Arkansas, where we just haven't experienced those inflated prices in homes and in other areas like we have in other parts of the country.
You know more about that than me. I'm sure when you lived in Boston, the cost of it.
Listen, when I always joke, and I'm kind of, it's tongue in cheek, but I always said when I came to Northwest Arkansas, I was like, I'll take two of those. Looking at houses, I'm like, I'll take two, just because it was just so much more affordable. I mean, and even still now to this day, I talk to a lot of locals though that are from here. They're like, man, things are getting really expensive. But you talk to people that are not from here, and they come here and they're like a kid in the candy store.
Cheap.
Yeah, it's inexpensive.
We are lucky.
So, yeah, we're very fortunate to be here and to be able to experience this. So what's next for Hanna's Candles? I mean, what are you guys planning to do in the future? Have you thought about that? I mean, I know there's a lot of competition out there with a lot of other candle makers. I mean, I don't know how you compete with China, but I mean, the nice thing is that you are a made in the USA organization. So,
but China's becoming less and less of a factor because their cost of labor has gone up tenfold in the last 16 or 18 years.
Okay.
So I know what China quotes prices at because I'll have them quote jobs for me instead of us doing it and see if we can buy it from them and resell it. We're actually about the same price as China now.
Okay.
In a lot of the things that we do.
Right. And it's just easier because it's right here.
Yeah, and it's just a challenge staying in business. Long term, the challenge is going to be keeping employees that will work in a factory setting. So our long-term goal is we're moving to a new factory, and we're going to make it a lot nicer than anything we've had before.
Okay. And it's going to be here in Fayetteville?
Yeah, so I bought the old Standard Register plant, which is north of the old Fayetteville Airport.
Oh, so nice. Okay.
We'll have rail spur there. That will give us some cost savings. And it's a smaller factory, but I'm trying to be as efficient as the Europeans are.
Right.
And I've gone over and looked at some European factories, and that's my long-term goal is to get our energy costs down to there and get our footprint half the size it is now. We waste a lot of time walking around in this big factory.
Yeah, this place is. I got lost finding this place.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
just
huge.
Too big. It's 15 acres under roof.
Yeah, it's huge. So, what's going to happen to this building?
Yeah, I sold it. It is sold back in 2012, and we're leasing it back. So we'll be out of here within the next 3 years.
Okay. So that's the next step for you guys, and just a smaller footprint. How many people are employed at Hanna's Candles?
Oh, probably about 100.
Okay. All right. So, wow, that's amazing. So, when you are not making candles and traveling around the country and figuring out the cost of things and the cost of doing business, where do you go for a good meal here in Fayetteville?
Oh, have you been to Louise's? And Bentonville's my favorite. Now.
Okay,
that's up right at the airport, so you can fly to eat there. I like that one. Louise's, it's something. I think the Waltons did it, but it's like real hot. It's really nice. Louise's. Let's see, where else did we eat lately? I don't know. Besides that, I heard Wright's Barbecue in Johnson. That's the next place I'm gonna go. Have you heard of that?
Wait, you haven't been to Wright's?
No, I heard it's great.
Yeah, Jordan Wright has been on the podcast.
Okay, I drove by it yesterday. Holy cow!
Their burnt ends and their brisket are off the chart. And I don't even eat pork or red meat, but I just I eat their chicken and I eat their turkey. And they've made salmon, which is amazing. But everyone that I've talked to has said their brisket is as good, if not better, than Franklin's in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I mean, in Austin, where Franklin's Barbecue. That's the barbecue place that kind of that came into popularity a few years ago, and now you've got to get there by 3 a.m. in the morning.
Wow!
To just get online. But if you go, Wright's Barbecue opens at 11 a.m. If you drive up there around 10:15, 10:30, there are people waiting online to get in there. So it's that good. It's that good.
I won't be waiting. I won't be eating there then because I would hate to wait that long.
Well, I mean,
that's like Biscuit Love in Nashville. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
It's crazy. Who goes and waits 2 hours to eat
Well,
breakfast?
yeah, and I don't know that you would have to always do that, but people that come in for the lunch rush, that's the problem. But if you run in there at 2:00, you're fine. But their barbecue is better than advertised, so I would highly recommend that you check it out. And if you mention that you heard about them on the podcast, you get a free drink. So there's that as well. So
got that going for me.
Yes, you got that going for you. So, anything else that you'd like to share about your thoughts of Fayetteville and specifically, or just Northwest Arkansas in general? Have you been up to Crystal Bridges to the museum?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. What do you think about what they're doing up there with, they're building that Momentary, which is going to be, have you heard of that? Mm-mm. So that's an extension to Crystal Bridges, which is going to be right up there on 8th Street, right by the 8th Street Market there in Bentonville. And the Momentary is going to be more of a more involved museum type location where they will put on more events, and it's going to be coupled with the brand new Walmart headquarters, which is going to be right in that same corridor there. So I just think I'm pretty impressed with what Bentonville is doing. They have definitely figured out how to get things going. So
that square is something else.
It is, and like I said, and I've told other people before, if you get a chance, check out the Sam Walton museum up there, which is the Walmart museum, and learn about him. And did you ever get a chance to meet him?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No, I'd like to, but it's too late.
Yeah, no, it's definitely too late. I was talking with
met Jim, and he's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Got to go hunting with him once.
Okay. Well,
imagine that, walking around with a shotgun next to one of the top 10 richest people in the world. I was scared I was going to shoot his dog.
Oh my god,
that'd be terrible.
That would be terrible.
Never live that down.
That would be terrible.
Shoot a man's dog. That'd be bad.
Oh man, that is rough. And I know that Sam loved dogs too. So if you go in there and see his old office, which is preserved the way that it was before he died. I mean, he had a section there for his dog to sit down and all that other stuff. So I think that's really interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for entrepreneurship in this part of the country. That type of ingenuity and stick-to-itiveness and wherewithal that we've seen exhibited on large scales, but even at the mid-level and at the smaller scale from businesses. I mean, you're not the only really successful person that has grown here.
Not even close.
But there are what I was not aware of when I moved here was that how many companies there are and individuals like yourself that are here that are really successful, that haven't pulled up stakes and gone to some other fancy location just to do that, but they've stayed here and remained faithful and true to this area.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that it's that way everywhere. I think in America, you can go to Winter Haven, Florida, or you can go to Prairie Grove, Arkansas, and find the same. Well, Prairie Grove's too close to that's still Northwest Arkansas, but surely every town has this exact same thing. I meet people everywhere, and the thing that fascinates me about America is you don't have to be the smartest guy in the world to figure out a way, the smartest person in the world to figure out a way to make a good living in the United States. I mean, I meet people that start sawmills or machine shops or whatever, and they just turn them into huge businesses everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're just lucky to be American.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern nowadays is more so artificial intelligence and when the robots take over and all that other stuff. I tend not to worry about that kind of thing, but I know people do talk about that. But you're absolutely right. I think there's always going to be an opportunity for someone that works hard and comes up with a good idea.
Robots will be great.
Huh?
Robots are going to increase.
I think robots will be good.
They will.
They will help us out considerable.
Well, it's the same with the switchboard operator. In 1902 or whatever, AT&T or Bell was saying we're going to need more switchboard operators than there are people in the world in 20 years, and it's true. So they came up with a way of fixing that. That's what happens with any kind of artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
it's just going to make our life better.
Yeah.
Your and I's life now is better than a king's was 200 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Got TV, got air conditioning, got running water, got a bathroom, got a hot shower.
Well, listen, I've done some studying, and what I've found is that there are robots now that can do a certain operation procedure that a doctor has a much higher rate of error.
Absolutely.
and robots can, and specifically around the knees and the hip joint, like putting the hip joint sockets together, they have taught robots how to do that with a degree of accuracy and precision that human beings actually can't even replicate.
Right.
So, I mean, and so people are benefiting from that. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. So, well, man, thank you so much, Burt, for agreeing to meet with us. And this is a really good episode for anyone that needs a little bit of inspiration, that's kind of sitting on their butt with a great idea and, needs to think about getting it done. Stop thinking about it and just go out and do it. And if anyone could be a great example of what you can accomplish by just putting a little ingenuity behind an idea and just working hard, it's Burt Hanna and at Hanna's Candles. And so, Burt, we really appreciate you coming on the episode and spending a little bit of time with us. And we hope to connect with you in the future to stay abreast of all of your exploits. And certainly we hope that your business continues to prosper and grow. So thank you so much for having us.
You bet. Thank you.
We appreciate it. If anybody wants to reach out to you in any way, what's the easiest way for them to connect with you? Email or
Burt.Hanna@hannascandles.com.
Okay, you got it. Burt.Hanna@hannascandles.com. And I will put that in the show notes. And you can check that out at I Am Northwest Arkansas. And so thanks so much for having me.
Sure thing.
Appreciate it. Folks, there you have it. Another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I really appreciate you. I'd love for you to do three things for me. One, I'd love for you to share this episode or any of our episodes with a friend and let them know about the podcast. I'd like you to check out our Facebook page at I Am Northwest Arkansas on Facebook. And I'd also love for you to either join our email list or just reach out to us and drop us a line and let us know what you think about the podcast. Talk to us about any of the episodes that you've heard, and maybe even share with us maybe a preferred episode that you'd like to hear about, an individual or an organization here in Northwest Arkansas that you'd like to learn more about. Just let us know, and you never know, it may end up becoming a future episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. So we certainly appreciate you. We wouldn't be anywhere without you, our listening audience, and so I really thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you just taking time out of your day to enjoy this episode. So we will catch up with you next week. We will be here. Remember, our podcast drops at 12 noon on Mondays. So we will see you next week. Thanks and have a great day.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.